Welcome to Women in Paint. Whether your paint story is dripless or an old school mix of project management, business ownership, or modern estimation, the stories of women in paint are now part of the industry's rising success. We'll educate, encourage, and promote diversity and gender equality by giving you a behind-the-scenes look at our proven skills, business acumen, and driving force that propels anyone to find meaningful opportunities and a career path that challenges lives through paint. Now let's welcome your host, Michael Cheney.
Welcome to the show. Today we are talking all things tech, and I've got Katie Simmons on with me, founder of TechBrush, to help me through this conversation. We know how important our tech stack is, right, in business. Katie, you and I were just talking about how in the painting industry, it's starting to mature. Us business owners have to think like business owners. We need processes, we need systems, and we need tech to help support us along the way. So, hey, thanks for joining me, and I'm excited to see what insight you can provide us when it comes to the tech stuff.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me.
So let me just ask first, do we need to be scared of tech? You know, the word tech, all tech stack, it feels a little scary sometimes, but I think you have a way of making it pretty simple. So talk to me about the fear that people might have when it comes to thinking about technology.
You know, technology isn't scary. What's scary is not knowing what it can do, right? Yeah. And there's such a fear of, if I use this technology, and this is in any business, in any industry, but if I use this technology, they're not going to need me. My job is going to go away, right? If we're automating our billing, then the billing person is going to lose their job. And it's just not the case. Technology is programmed by you.
Yeah.
So even with AI right now, it's generative. So you're feeding it information to get information back. It's not like thinking on its own. We're not there yet. And tech.
it still needs us, even though we've got AI and what am I seeing? The possibility of drones doing the painting for us. We still need people to operate these things. So give us a little insight to your background. Why is this important to you? What experience do you have? And, building out tech for companies.
Yeah, no. So my background, I've spent the last 20 years of my career in Seattle, Washington, working for a variety of different tech companies. I've worked for Nintendo. I have been at Microsoft, SAP, a call center recording company called Envision. And it was completely by accident that I wound up even doing anything in technology. My background, schooling-wise, was in HR and training and development. I love to teach people. I love to break down processes and help them get a better result in their work as a result of the technology. And so when I came into the painting industry recently, it was over the last couple of years. I'm now relocated back to my home state of Michigan, in northern Michigan, Charlevoix. My boyfriend needed some help with his business. And so I took a look at it, and what was glaringly missing was the presence of technology. Yeah. And we went with Paint Scout for invoicing and billing and estimates because it was easy and it looked really good. And the result of when we implemented that and mapped his processes to the technology was the acceptance rate went up just because the estimate looked more professional.
Oh, right.
And everything was right there for the customer. You could have a conversation about it. You could leave it with them. They could accept it. Being able to purchase, doing the deposit right online, it really improved a number of different things within his business. And when I went through that with him, I went, oh my God, this is the exact same thing I do every single day, helping companies implement their technology solutions, right? It's looking at their process. It's setting it up so that it works for their business. And I thought, I don't really want to go back to corporate America. I'm burnt out with it. I don't do well with the egos. I don't do well with the politics. And this just seemed like a great fit to develop TechBrush so that I can help painting companies set up their technology that match their systems and pick out the features of the technology that's actually going to help them solve a business problem.
Right. And I mean, we know that the painting industry becomes more professional. Like this is a part of it. This is needed. And I'll just tell you about my experience in my business is that, when we started, we had, our processes and systems that worked for where we were, right? And as you grow, you've got to tweak things, you've got to change things. And the example that I'll use is that, when I started this business and I was the painter and I was the estimator and all of the things, the little process I had, even if I didn't recognize it as a process, I had a process, right? When someone calls and says, "Hey, I want an estimate," I had a process. But that process did not end up working when I added another team member or added an estimator, and then eventually have a project manager, right? And you grow. And so, my experience with even tech and processes is that as you grow, those also have to grow, right? So we're at a point in my business where, we're a multi-million-dollar business and we're really trying to build the strong foundation to get to the next level. And a huge piece of that we're running into right now is the tech piece, right? And tweaking some of those processes that we've been we've exhausted some of our processes. And as we grow, those same processes aren't continuing to work. So this whole conversation is like what my business is going through right now. So the timing is impeccable on this. But talk about that where, this idea of processes and having a system, meaning, kind of an overview of that would be like, what does your process look like when a customer calls in? How did they get on your schedule? What does the customer do? Do they schedule online? You're kind of saying that you got to build out those processes and really think through each step. And then you start selecting your tech pieces to support those processes. Kind of shed some more light on that. What does that look like for someone like me? Where do you start? And maybe how do you build out these processes? It's such a huge piece of running a successful business.
Right. So the first thing, you have to take a step back and holistically look at what is it that you're trying to accomplish from two different perspectives. One, you as a business owner, right? And you mentioned that one of your goals is to grow to the next level, right? Which then essentially can add some complexity to your business. The second piece is looking at the customer experience.
Yeah.
What is the path that you want to take your customer through? And you have to look at both of those pieces because technology was designed to solve problems. Point blank. Wasn't designed to run the world. It was designed to solve business problems. So once you can understand what is the customer experience that you want, where are they falling out now in the experience that you're not getting the deposit on that estimate, right?
Right.
You also have to take a look at step 2, beyond the customer experience. What's the dynamic of your community? Right? Are you majority of baby boomers? Do you have a lot of Gen X? Do you have a lot of millennials? Because they expect very different things. Gen X and
Right.
millennials like technology. They don't like to talk on the phone anymore. They like their text messages. So if you have an area that is mostly Gen X and millennials, let's say 65%, you're going to really want to cater to that group because that's the bulk of your business.
Yeah.
Versus another area where technology may not be needed and as strong. I'll give you a perfect example. We need it for my boyfriend's business. I live in Charlevoix, Michigan. It's a summer town. 80% of the homes here are second and third homes to very wealthy people. We only have 2,700 people that live here year round.
Wow.
So there, not only do we have Gen Xers who are very wealthy, but I also have a lot of baby boomers that are very wealthy. And they use technology, but they also want a printout of that invoice. So you have to look
right.
at it from that perspective as well. Once you can understand all of those pieces, you need to map out your processes. Don't think about the technology. I mean, I tell clients this all the time and have for 20 years. Throw the idea of the technology out the window. Don't look at the website or what all the features are or anything. Focus on step by step the customer experience, your processes, and what is working and what's not working. You also want to take a look at what steps could be eliminated with technology.
Yes. You know what? I want to really highlight this because this is a huge piece of the puzzle that I think we often overlook, because I found myself doing this, looking for the technology first and then trying to fit your system into what it does. And there's a miss on that piece. And I've done that before, and that's why I can speak from experience. So this idea that you're laying out of, no, you put tech to the side, you figure out your process first. What do you want it to look like? And then you find the tech piece that helps support what you're already doing. The other thing I want to bring up is that, you talked about Gen X versus baby boomers. What I recognize in my company is that my employees, the age of my employees matters. I got young folks. They don't want to carry around a piece of paper. They don't want a work order that's printed, right? So like several years ago, we went to a paperless system because that's how my team is going to, we use Slack for our communication. They're not wanting to make phone calls. They're not wanting a paper printout. They want everything done right from their phone. And so we had to shift and make that happen. And so it's not just your customers, it's also your employees that you really have to think about when you're creating this stuff.
Yeah, it's everybody. And it's thinking about the environment and the ecosystem that you're trying to build, right? Because once you can define that and we understand where the pieces are, the pieces that are missing that technology can help with, now we can start shopping and looking at the features.
Yeah.
Because then, technology is expensive. And when you can start to take a look at what you need to do, it helps figure out where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck in your investment and return on investment.
That's a good point. Can you give me an example of what a tech stack would look like? Like, I don't know, what have you integrated into your boyfriend's program or into his company? And this isn't to say one program's better than the other. I mean, there's a million out there, right? There's the Paint Scout, the Essence Rockets, the Drip Jobs. It's not even, the conversation isn't about which one's better, but which one's a better fit for your business. So can you just give me an example of what a few tech options would be in the painting world that you would kind of tie together and how you would do that?
Absolutely. So for my boyfriend's business, I picked Paint Scout. And the reason why I had picked Paint Scout was it was simple. It was easy. The layout looked good. And Tony I love him dearly, but he's not a tech person. He's technology challenged. And he recognizes that and he's okay with it because he just delegates it to me. And that's why I handle all the operations for him. But I needed something that was easy and that was simple. And Paint Scout is very robust, but it's easy to understand, especially if you're technology challenged in that area. I do also have looked into and have a subscription to learn it and use it, is Drip Jobs. And I do like Drip Jobs. They are designed, my perception, and any technology company I've ever worked for, is that technology is based off and designed around a certain thought process. And what I love about what both John Bryant and Tanner Mullen have done with their companies is not only are they painters and have their own painting businesses, but they've designed the programs to support not only gaps that are missing in the industry,
Yeah.
but that supported their business, right? That solved the problem in their business. So the design elements are different based off of their thought processes. So, you know, if somebody were to say to me, Katie, what would work best for me in my company? I look at what are your goals over the next couple of years?
Right.
What is it that you're currently using, doing a audit of what software that you currently have and that you use, because there's features of softwares that you already pay for that you can use if you don't want to invest in a whole one single platform, right? There's values on both sides. So we look at that and figure out what it is that you have, map out all your processes, and then figure out what, based off of the features, what solution, right? Drip Jobs, Rocket Estimate, or Paint Scout, which is the best fit for you, right? Where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck?
Totally. Do you guys have some sort of project management program, or you just, yeah.
So, it depends on, there's a couple of things within my business that I can do to help with the technology. One is through consulting and coaching, help map out all your processes, get that work done for you, guide you through selecting the best tech stack for you, right? The second piece of it is then taking it to a next level, is then designing how, getting all set up for you so you can outsource that piece to me. Like, hey, I don't have time to set this up. I gave you all the answers. You go set it up for me, test it, work with somebody in my team to test it, and then let's roll it out. And then we come up with a rollout plan. I can also train you based off of not just the biggest gap. Most tech companies do wonderful training, beautiful training, but it's based off of how to use the feature. When you give that same training to employees, they're like, but that's not how we do things. Like, show me how I need to do this. So we can make the training videos for you using your system, training them how to exactly do their job based off of what it is that you have laid out. So there's three different areas that we can help with.
Very good. Yeah, you're right. Cause that's where, when I try and roll something out, I might have learned whatever program because I did a demo with that company and maybe they gave me further assistance, but it's applying it in everyday terms that actually fit the processes that your team already follows. And the other thing that I think is important to mention is that there are free. You can maximize some of the free services. Like, for example, we use Slack to communicate, right? So Slack is part of our tech stack, and each job has a channel, and then we invite the team to that channel that's going to be working on that job. We put the work order in there, and if they need more paint during the project, they put a picture of the label and say, hey, we need 2 more gallons delivered here, tomorrow. And we use the free version, and the free version does everything that we need. Now there's some limitations. There's a limitation on how much information that stores for you. I think it's like 90 days. You don't have access to anything anymore, but that's, we use the free version and it works. So I think that you can kind of maximize some of those free things. Even like for social media, we use Later now, so we can schedule our social media ahead of time, but you could use the platform Meta that Facebook has to schedule things, and it's completely free. So I think it's important, since the F word, free, is one of my favorite words. I think it's important to mention that.
No, absolutely. And I definitely like pointing out to people what are the free things that they can take advantage and use from a technology standpoint. If you have, so how you explained how you use the free version of Slack, right? If a company is a paint company uses Google Workspace, they can do the same thing with the chat feature that you're doing, right? In Slack, you have that ability and you're already paying for it. So you can either use Slack for free or use something that you have. If you are a paint contracting business that uses Microsoft 365 as primary, then you get Teams and you can do the exact same thing. Not only in Teams, you can use it kind of as the way that you're doing it in the Slack channel, right? Set up each individual team based off of the customer, the project, but then you can also give access if you needed to a special folder in Teams to your customer, right? So that's again why it's so important to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
And getting that audit done of what's available, right? Let's see what we can maximize that you don't have to spend money on.
Yep, you're right.
And then figure out where the holes are from there, because there's so
That's
much
right.
out there.
Yeah, you really got to think through everything. Even the example I gave about how if a painter, if on the job they need more gallons of paint, how do they currently ask for that? Do they put the brush down and go to the store and get it? Do they send you a text message and say, hey, we need more paint? Like, what does that process even look like? And so the invitation here is to really think through those processes. You know, one thing that drove me crazy early on in this business were the amount of text messages I would get when it come to, hey, we need paint, right? And then I was running all over town, delivering paint, delivering ladders, like I was a materials runner at one point. And so I said, you know what, we can't, this is not the process. Like, don't text me for paint. We're going to have a system. And now they have a system and they know that they have to request that before 3 p.m. in order to get it the next morning. And then our project manager sees that. They schedule the delivery. If it's with Sherwin-Williams or PPG, we deliver it right to the job. But we had to think through that process. And it came from me losing my mind running materials all over town. And so I knew once I had a little more layers in the business, we needed a strong process for that. But so, yeah, okay. When you see painting companies try to think this through, or when you just look at what they're working with, is there a common mistake that you see? Is there kind of a thread that runs through this thing where it's like, you know what, this is common for people to overlook this, or this is a common mistake? Can you highlight anything like that we can kind of key people into?
Yeah, there's a couple of different common mistakes that I wouldn't say they're mistakes. I would say that they have become growth opportunities on how to do something different, right?
Sure.
One is I see a lot of comments in Facebook groups on how to price something. How much are you charging?
Yeah.
And that question to me signals a couple of things. One, it's some fear and lack of confidence of, standing behind the price. Two is it also demonstrates to me where companies aren't thinking through what they're trying to achieve, right? We all want to make money. I mean, we all need money to live. Inflation has just about killed everyone everywhere, right? But when you understand what it is you're trying to achieve and what your processes are, I mean, you brought up a great point, right? I'm getting text messages on, I need more paint. All right, well, if they go to the store, they have to stop what they're doing. They have to go to the store. That's costing you money, right?
That line. Maybe the store doesn't have it, right?
They don't have it. Now they've just wasted more time and could have been prepping out another room.
That's right.
So you have to think, when you understand what it is you're trying to do and you understand and have your systems and your processes mapped out, right? And if you don't have time to do that, I'll map them out for you. But when you do that, now you can understand what tech stacks you need to do and where the holes are, right? And then you can measure that back with your return on investment, increase profit margins, because now you're not wasting money. And I think that's where a mistake or opportunity is looking at is where are you wasting money? And when you map out your processes and you go, oh my God, there's 5 steps in here that are totally not necessary. Now you've just saved, maybe I'm making the number up, 20 minutes out of your day. Well, for a painter, an extra 20 minutes, that's a big deal.
Well, and you know what, when you start adding people to your team, like when you get estimators, you get project managers, this is what we're dealing with, and they're doing the same task over and over and over again. I'll give you an example is once we collect a deposit, that means the estimator made the sale, right? We get the deposit and then it goes over to production, and now it's production's job to produce that project. Well, when production gets it, we have this thing called a welcome email that we send the customer. And it basically tells them their tentative start date. It says, if you want a color consultation, you can schedule it right here. We do a complimentary color consultation on every job. But what happens is those project managers are sending that same email over and over and over again. And if we do 600 jobs this year, that means we've sent that one email 600 times. And that doesn't make sense. So what I've recognized, it's kind of similar to, you got your painter standing in line at Sherwin-Williams, instead of having their brush on the wall, it's kind of the same thing. We're like, man, we are wasting time sending that same freaking email over and over. Think how much time we could save. And what other areas of the business are we doing that same thing? And so we did exactly what you said. We kind of said, where are we wasting time? Because I know time equals money. And so that is really where we have created a strong focus, recognizing our pain points. And then we say, okay, we know what we want this process to be, which is we want an automated process for this email. I don't want anyone else sending this email 600 times. Now, what tech can we use to fill that gap? And that's exactly what it is. So I'll tell you what, Katie, I told you in the beginning, look, this show's going to go quick. We've already been rocking and rolling for nearly 30 minutes. Any other, suggestions you can give? Anything else that you're like, man, this is important. We got to get our painting companies more professional. We've got to teach them this tech stack. Any other thing that you want to highlight in regards to what we can do as painters, business owners to grow these businesses?
Give yourself some grace, because, it's easy to get caught up in shiny object syndrome, right? Like, I have to have this new CRM tomorrow. I have to have this new billing system, right? And because the software is cloud-based, software as a service, it's available immediately. So there's no reason why you can't just start loading data in it and figuring it out and using it as you go. The problem with that is that you're going to put your business in shock.
Yeah.
You're going to confuse customers. You're going to confuse your employees, and nothing is going to operate quickly. So as easy as it sounds to go live tomorrow in cool tools, and you're excited to use it because it's like Christmas. Santa brought you a new present and you want to use it right away. Is to really think through the best times to be rolling out different things, because we need to train people. We need to get people a heads up and information, and you have to think through things so that you don't put your business in shock.
That's right. So peak season, maybe that's not the time to swap out your estimating program. No, that's a great reminder, because I think we do get caught up in this idea that we got to make a change quickly, where really some of this stuff is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's got to be planned, especially if you have multiple people on your team that are going to be using a system. And this is where you come into play, because you can help bridge that gap. You can help set these programs up. You can help do the training. And so I think you've got a great thing going here. Katie, tell us how we can get in touch with you if someone wants to reach out, find out more about TechBrush. What's the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach me is Katie.Simons@techbrushworks.com.
Very good.
And I'm
Last but
building,
not,
building my website.
you're rocking and rolling. You're doing your thing. Last but not least, quickly want to mention the Women in Paint event in Hollywood Beach, Florida, October 8th through the 10th. You do not want to miss it. We've got an agenda packed full. I think Miss Katie's going to be there. You can talk more about TechBrush with her. It is an event that you're not going to want to miss. It's our second ever Women in Paint event. And man, if you want to be a better business owner, a better estimator, better project manager, whatever it is in the painting industry that you're doing, you're going to see women there who are inspiring, who have amazing businesses, who are killing it in sales. So really consider coming. You can find that link on the PCA website. And also, I want to mention the Women in Paint Facebook page. If you are not part of that, get on there. It's an uplifting place. You know, a lot of these painting contractor Facebook pages, if you go in there and ask someone for help with a price, man, they basically say you're an idiot. Why don't you know how to price that out? The Women in Paint page is a little bit different. We've got a lot of supportive folks on there. Katie, last question for you. I ask this to everyone. What do you do to take care of yourself? How do you take care of Katie so that you can show up for this business, so that you can show up for all of us? How do you take care of yourself so that you can do your thing?
The biggest thing that I do to take care of myself is on the weekends, I'm with my family. I'm a single mom to a 14-year-old, so the time with him is very precious. And seeing him happy, watching him play football and getting involved in the community brings me joy, and then also rejuvenates myself and my mental health. So
there you go. I love it. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and we will see everybody right here next time.